Good afternoon. We are going to convene for a public hearing of the proposed ad valorem property rate tax rate for 2023. And that's being held this time. And then we'll of course have our regular board meeting afterwards. The tax rate is a 0.3972 per $100 of assessed valuation is proposed. Is there anyone here to speak?
And President, here to anyone speaking?
All right, hearing no one, I close the public hearing on the ad valorem rate. All right, we'll call our meeting to order, say greetings to all of you again. I guess before we get very far, we have a decoration, a centerpiece here that comes from the facility department. And so Justin, share with us about this centerpiece we have.
Tomorrow is National Toilet Paper Day.
Beautiful.
To celebrate the first time toilet paper was sold on a roll in 1871.
Thank you.
Obviously, toilet paper is a big part of what we do. So share that.
Second biggest expense behind payroll, right?
It probably is. Well, thank you for bringing that fun fact to us and for providing us with a, particular decoration right here for our board meeting. So after taking a look at the agenda, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Citizens' comments. Do we have any, Lisa?
There are no comments.
Okay. So now we have a full room in case some of you that are listening and seeing us may not be able to see the room is full. So we have a lot of new employees. So Dr. Bates, I'll turn it over to you.
We're going to start with Sarah Alcott.
Okay, so I actually have 3 here. I think you said 2, but I got a surprise.
Okay.
Or why don't you start up here as well? So I'm going to start with Olivia Smith. She is our Student Services Administrative Assistant. She has really hit the ground running, and I'm very thankful for her. And I'm going to let her give a little brief introduction and background.
Sure. Yeah. Like Sarah said, my name is Olivia Smith, and it's a pleasure to meet some of you for the first time and to see some of you that I've already met in my first 4 weeks here. I previously worked at Citizens Against Spouse Abuse Incorporated for 4 years, and I've really been able to use my skills that I developed here, in terms of working on community resources and helping out our students. And I really look forward to continuing to do that good work for our community. So thank you for having me.
And she's an alumni.
And I'm an alumni. I graduated December of 21.
You're in many plays.
Oh, no, you're good. I'm just excited.
And that's
You're
true.
in
Yes.
many plays.
Yes, at the Liberty Center. Yes.
And we have 2 new admissions and outreach advisors. First one is Cody Goldman. And I'm gonna let him give a little introduction to tell you about himself.
Yep, so I'm from a small town in South Mississippi, probably the only person here that's from farther south than Dr. Murder. Graduated from the University of Southern Mississippi. Actually have 2 degrees from there, so I'm very proud alumni. Just started on about 2 months, not long ago. Also coach, I'm an assistant baseball coach here.
And then our other admissions and outreach advisor is Lauren Golder.
Hi, I come from the K-12 education background. I taught math for a while, and then now I'm excited to be here. I'll be covering our in-district schools and then the Western.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Grant here. I don't see him, but is he in the hallway? No, okay. I'm proud to introduce Dr. Michael Murders, who is the Vice President of Academic and Student Success.
Thanks.
All right.
I'm glad to be here, 20-year veteran of the Air Force, 15 years in higher ed. Just to correct Cody, I was in Gulfport, Mississippi, so I think it was. Home is Arkansas, so we're both right. So home has been Arkansas, so that's where I've spent the vast majority of my higher ed career, from faculty, adjunct faculty, into chief academic officers, vice presidents, academics, and all those type of things growing up. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Allison?
Hello. So if my y'all will step forward. I've got 4 with me here tonight. I'm really excited to introduce you. Come on up. So this is Miss Bailey Coleman. She comes as our new medical assisting instructor. She'll be housed out of the Clinton campus. And her smile lights up the world. And we're really glad to have her on our team. I also have Miss Natalie Ficken. She is our new radiologic technology instructor. She comes from practice and has practiced many years, 17 years. So we're lucky to have her on our team. She's hit the ground running, and her and her team are really competing well. And so we have Miss Megan Marin, who is our new DMS assistant director. She has also had an amazing first week and is doing great, her and her team. And then Dr. Hope Taylor, she comes to us to teach in the PM program, so the first year nursing program. She has teaching experience and lots of practice experience, and so we're really lucky to have her as well. So do you want to tell them anything else about yourself?
I am an alumni here too. I went through the graduate 2007 from the X-ray program here. I am an alumni as well. I graduated in spring of 21. I'm not an alumni.
Thank you. James?
I have 5 here, I think, tonight, in no particular order. Jennifer Crane is our new math instructor. She comes from Smith Cotton with about 20 years of experience there. Robbie Paul is sociology. He's a former adjunct and just completed his PhD. Joe Schreierman is our instrumental music. He taught high school up in the St. Joseph area for us. Not for us, but Kim Orr, digital media communications, has a lot of background, like at the PDS station in Warrensburg and doing that kind of work. And then last but not least, Angela Langford, who's in our biology department, and she's got a lot of adjunct experience up at Metropolitan and UCM. So we're glad, we think we got a great crew, so welcome. And I promised them they didn't have to talk, so.
Good job. Jim's a good dean. Mike? Mike Rock? You don't have any?
We got nobody.
Okay, all right. Well, let's welcome. You all can slip out if you would like. If you're welcome to speak.
Dan, welcome.
Hey, you're supposed to make your ideas.
You share it now.
Plenty of shares now.
You missed it. We have table decoration. So we'll have to tell you about that.
You're old and
No, they can't, that's kind of our facility management. So we'll tell you about it.
Fill you in later.
All right, we're looking at the approval of the minutes for the July 28th, 2022 board meeting. I entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. For the same sign. So now we're ready for an institutional report, and I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Bates.
All right, we have 3 institutional reports today. I think you're going to enjoy all 3. But to set the bar here, we'll start off with our executive director of the Career and Technology Center, Eric Reamer. Just to remind you, our Career and Technology Center is a very special program. We're one of 4 community colleges in the state that host secondary school technical training on our campus. So I think it's a real plus for our communities to have access to high level, high quality technical training. So Eric's going to expound upon that. I probably stole his opening right there. I'm sorry.
We did, but that's okay. Okay. Thank you all for having me this evening. I know that you received in your packet a summary of our placement that we had this past year, and also a summary of what we did in the way of dual credit, articulated credit, the amount of certificates and stuff we awarded. So I'll just go over just kind of a quick summary. As Dr. Bates said, we're one of 4 career centers in the state of Missouri that's on a college campus. I've heard numerous times from our students that are here, they continue to say, we cannot do college, Mr. Raymer, there's just no way. And we remind them, well, you've been doing it 1 to 2 years already. So you're surviving well, you can do this. So all of our programs have a post-secondary program that our students can go into now. As of last year, we finally got that last one in the graphic design area. But we offer automotive, building trades, criminal justice, early childhood professions, graphic design, health occupations, industrial equipment maintenance, precision machining, and welding technology. Now, we also offer what we call a Missouri Options Program. And what that is that allows some students who the opportunity to graduate with their cohort. So it's what we used to remember as the GED, but it's now considered the high set. And if the students successfully complete that program with us, then they get the opportunity to graduate with a high school diploma with their class at their school. So that is also a program that we offer. And we usually service anywhere from 15 to 35 kids a year with that from all 10 of our sending schools. So that's pretty significant for them. So that's a great opportunity for those students. So if you look at those pages real quick that I had there, we offered this past year 1,037 certifications or certificates in our Career Center. That's pretty significant for when we had a total number of students of 202, which that enrollment due to COVID and everything was down about 20% from the previous couple of years. So with lower enrollment, we're still able to achieve more certificates than we've ever had before. We provided 1,029 dual credit hours, and the students also earned 186 articulated credit hours. Another big significant thing that we like to brag about is the National Career Readiness Certificate, or the NCRC. That is a credential that certifies achievement at the level of workplace employability skills in applied mathematics, workplace documents, and graphic literacy. So the 4 areas that students have an opportunity to earn there, it's platinum, gold, silver, and bronze level. Obviously, the platinum being the best. We only test seniors. We don't test juniors in that. So out of the seniors that we tested, we had 83 seniors, 72 of them earned bronze or higher. So for platinum, just to give you a little bit of a description of that, it signifies an individual has scored at least a level 6 on each of those 3 assessments, and it means that they have the necessary skills for 99% of the jobs in the WorkKeys Pro Job database. And we had 8 students achieve that recognition. The gold level means they have 93%. We had 13 students achieve that. The silver level, they have the necessary skills for 67%. 31 students achieved that, and then on the bronze, we had 20 students achieve that certification and level. So that is pretty awesome. I know you have heard before, but I also want to say this past year, Eric Thomas from Green Ridge, he was in our industrial equipment maintenance program. He earned first at state in Skills USA, and he also went to nationals in Atlanta and ended up placing 11th in the nation. And remember, as I said before, this is a young man that had very little training in that particular subject area. This year, he's going to get a lot more in that because we do that every other year. So this year, he's really excited about that to continue on and hopefully do well. On our placement summary, this is follow-up from the previous year. We always do the follow-up 180 days after the student graduates. And for a total of our Career Center, we had 95% of placement, which is really good for, that's what our goal is at least have 95%. And our goal is to get them, in the 3 E's, either continuing education, employed, or enlisted. So for our kids, 95%, we feel very successful with that. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. You're also welcome to come by anytime. We love giving tours. We love showing off what we have. Our city schools. Okay, in the morning, we have 3 of them. There's Smith Cotton, Lamont, and Northwest. That is our 3 in the morning. The reason we only have 3 is because Smith Cotton is our largest school. So, that's why we have to divvy that up. In the afternoon, we have 7. We have Cole Camp, Green Ridge, Otterville, Warsaw, Tipton, Smithton, and Lincoln. That is our 7 in the afternoon. So
How's your enrollment this year?
enrollment this year, we're at 208, I believe, right now. We did have to close the program down this year, our building trades, due to not having an instructor. So we're taking that on hiatus this year. We're going to bring it back next year, even stronger than normal. The unfortunate part is we did have a full set of people in that one, so that would have added another 32. So that would have put our numbers up at 240. But those students have been able to get into other programs as they've needed, so.
You see them coming back, or they're gonna just finish out wherever they're at?
I see them coming back. I really do, yeah. But I'll tell you that it's really interesting, these new group of kids coming in is they're willing to try anything. Used to, you entered into one of our programs and you stayed the full 2 years and that's what you went into. And a lot of the students now are really saying, I'm gonna try this for a year, then I want to try something else. Which, we're having to adapt to that, but we're finding that to be equally successful and awesome for them.
Well, so community need, workforce training, high quality programs with strong placement success and strong certification, meaning the quality and excellence emphasis that we have in our planning for this year. So, Eric, thank you very much for your work.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you all.
Thank you for what you do for State Fair Community College and all of your teams.
Well, it's strictly our success is because of the instructors, counselors, and administrative assistants and everybody.
Absolutely.
It's all because of that. Oh, and I'm an alumni too, because I wanted to say that. It wasn't, I'm just.
You're all proud, don't forget.
What year? It is earlier.
Our second presentation, enrollment is one of our emphasis areas this year. And we have a new associate dean of enrollment management, and I probably butchered her title, but her name is Sarah Alkire, and she's going to share with you her the college's enrollment management plan. And she has PowerPoint, so I'm going to move out of the way.
So, I was asked to talk about enrollment management updates. And so one of the things that I'm working on is developing, I don't know that I call it a strategic plan, but an enrollment management plan that kind of outlines our strategies and goals and how we're going to get there. But I wanted to start by my current priorities are becoming fully staffed, training our new staff, and then evaluating the applicant experience. So about a year ago, we implemented a new application system. And so we're already to the process where we see a few areas where we need to make a couple of adjustments just to make it smoother and make the process better for our applicants. And then you've met several of my new staff. Prior to that, I've still had new staff and I still have an open position. So before we fully embrace a new enrollment management plan, I want to make sure that everyone is trained and that they can best help our incoming students. So with that being said, the next 5 are the priorities that Dr. Bates helped us outline, I don't know, probably 6 months ago or so. So one of those is filling technical programs and courses. And so I've outlined some strategies under there that we've talked about as far as how we're going to do that. So cultivating a coordinated effort with the learning force so that participants within their programs, we can start to cultivate them to degree-seeking programs, whether that's an AA or a certificate, that gives us a pipeline to bring them in. Understanding current technical program students so that we can better reach new students. The students are ever changing and we want to make sure that how they've heard about us, that we're capitalizing on that, or what made them decide to come here, that we can capitalize on that for other students. Partnering with industry to promote job needs and benefits to students. That's something that I know we already do, and I know that the technical liaison, Rochelle, does a lot of. We just want to continue that and build that more so. Develop additional career option exploration tools for undecided students. That is, we have one of our biggest majors right now is undecided, and we want to see that decrease. And so giving students additional options on what they might be interested in, or having them come shadow a course, making sure that we are helping them to see what other options are and what kind of potential they have in those areas. And so I definitely think that's an opportunity for technical programs to grow, partly because of the outcome after graduation. It is such a high demand and it does pay a great salary. So that is always appealing for students coming out of high school. Increasing our minority and non-traditional student populations. So one of the ways that we're looking to do that is working with Katie Stanley Dietzman over in AEL to work with her graduates, primarily that are graduating with their high set, and helping them transition into continuing their education, whether that's for a certificate or an AA, AAS, developing relationships and increasing brand sponsorship and awareness within the community, and gain understanding of the needs and barriers of communities in our service area. So I kind of grouped those together in the sense that we had the opportunity to participate in a student journey mapping workshop, where we brought some of the community members with us and talked about the student experience and how they learn about State Fair Community College, how they apply, how they get information about State Fair. And so being able to better understand their barriers as well as how they are hearing about us, I think helps us better develop those relationships. And the more that we can increase awareness about our brand, the better. Promote dual credit matriculation. So after undecided, one of our top enrollment areas is dual credit. And so I would love to see more of those dual credit students continue on here after high school. And so part of that is going to be increasing parent connection and involvement, improving the understanding of the A+ funding that Missouri offers for students, and developing a more strategic communication plan for dual credit students that are getting ready to finish their high school career, so that we can encourage them. Here's the reasons why you should continue and stay here. One of the things we've also talked about is a scholarship potentially for dual credit students to encourage them to stay, that, you know, if you've done dual credit here, if you continue on, we have a scholarship for you. And that leads into my improved scholarship efforts. So one of the things that we learned from the student journey mapping workshop is we want to streamline the application process. We've made some adjustments this year, and we need to kind of continue to make some adjustments. We want to create more scholarship opportunities for our non-traditional students. Our traditional students that are coming from high school have a lot of opportunities, especially with A+, and most of our non-traditional students don't have that opportunity just based on when we graduated. So we want to make that a more easy to access option for them, that we know funding is one of the most challenging pieces for students coming to school. And then strategically promote retention and persistence. And so another scholarship that we've talked about doing is related toward that, in terms of we've piloted it as sort of like a Navigator Academy scholarship. And we're still working out all the pieces to that, but giving students the opportunity to participate in a program that will increase their likelihood of persisting and graduating, to have them participate in certain things, like they have to meet with their navigator X number of times. They need to be involved in an on-campus organization. They need to meet with their faculty. They need to, I'm trying to remember some of the other things that we had, meet with the tutoring lab. And so we have these different criteria that they can meet, with the idea that, you know, if you meet these certain things, you can get a scholarship. By doing those things, research shows that their persistence will increase, and we'll retain them and they'll graduate. And then increasing our high school market share. We do have a good representation from our local high schools and surrounding county high schools, but we of course always want to increase that. And so we've, especially the admissions advisor that recently moved to Trio, worked very hard to really evaluate the presentations that we were providing to high schools and make them more specific, make them more grade relevant, so that way, when we go in and present this information, we're for sure highlighting what State Fair can offer in relation to that information, and that it is grade specific to help them plan for whatever they decide to do after college or after high school. Develop a social media and communication plan. We've been working with Marcom to talk about how we can build our priorities into what they're working with as far as like the career and technical pieces. I know that they have a push for that as well. And so we're trying to work and do the same thing with our high school market share increase. And then just continuing to increase our collaboration and partnership with high schools. Again, the more that we can be involved and share our brand and share what we do, the better. So those are the generals. anything, questions that I can answer.
Well, we're just doing a revamp, but our current status, how are you what did you think about the current enrollment for this semester and how we're doing? I did read that the retention rate goal was exceeded, which is a very good sign. But how are we doing?
So from the data that I've looked at over the past years and doing some math, we averaged or have averaged over the past 6 to 8 years about a negative 5% decrease in enrollment. So seeing that -6 number for right now is not terribly surprising for me, but we of course want that to improve. And so that's what we're looking to do. I think it will take some time to get there, but we are definitely working toward that. So I know that's probably not what people want to hear, that I'm not terribly surprised. But I had projected about that would be down about 5%. COVID, of course, did not help, but just based on our trends that I've seen, I'm not surprised. I'm not concerned in that I definitely think we have a lot of things that we can do to make improvements. And we did start this new application system about a year ago. And so I think that has promise as well because of the communication platform that it brings in reaching out to students.
Are we looking at the various non-Sedalia sites and how well we're the strategies to try to boost those enrollment at those sites?
So they don't fall under me, but I do work with them. So I'm not completely sure what their strategies are, but I know for me, it's important that we engage them more, especially in our high school visits, because they are right there in the community. And a lot of times those individuals already know the campus directors or know the employees that are there. So I definitely want to continue to build that relationship with them so that we can utilize each other more efficiently. But I don't know what their specific goals are. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, it sort of raises the question
Okay.
is should you know? Is that a question we need to ask?
Oh, absolutely. I agree. As I said on the first slide, right now I'm trying to get up to staff and get people trained. We have had pretty much an entire turnover in the admissions department. And so having been doing several jobs, I have not had the opportunity to dive into several pieces that I would like to do more so of. But yes, I think that we should have more conversations as far as where we're all going together.
Those strategies, though, aren't just Sedalia specific strategies. So like increasing the market share, part of that is increasing the market share for those high schools in those service regions.
Yeah.
So,
And like I said, I'd like to engage those campuses more with that piece because they are much more local and those students see those faces more than they do our faces. So.
Your strategies are spot on, so thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Good luck and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Finally, last week I noticed on Facebook, an institution I used to work at had a posting that said their phone system was down. And I didn't think much of it because it's a rural area. But I have colleagues that are still friends and come to find out they were victims of a cybersecurity attack, a ransomware attack. And they're at enrollment, the worst time of the year. And basically they're saying it could be mid-semester before their systems come up and running. Financial aid, admissions, all of that is down. Security is a huge thing for us and something that we are all acutely aware of and working on. So I asked Mark to talk to the board and brief you all on on our security efforts. He's not going to get into details about specific things because we don't want to share some of those things with people, but he's going to talk in general about that. And he has some colleagues to help support his presentations. So Mark, our Chief Information Officer.
How y'all doing tonight?
Did I say his title right? I didn't say it.
You're gonna be doing one.
They're zooming in.
Video. So one of the things that I worry the most about, I worry two things. I worry about the semester start. It stresses me out. You can ask my team.
He's just now chilling out.
I'm just now starting to chill. But I worry about cybersecurity. You have all heard it in the news. And I do worry about that a lot. We are fortunate to have people like, I'm going to introduce Mike and Cindy, cyber support structure behind us that guides us, gives us guidance in some of the best practices that we need to do. We don't really have a cybersecurity team, but we do best practices. And what I appreciate about this institution so much is that you've been progressive in letting us evolve that and try to stay up with it. But we're always looking to be better. And priority in the strategic plan, one of the things that I must do is stay on that to create a digital secure digital environment, right? So we need to stay up on that. So I'm going to introduce Mike Tarkin and Cindy Green. Mike Tarkin is a director at Lucian. He is info security. He is a smart dude. He's a smart dude. Cindy Green, she's general manager for Lucian. She is about doing all the best things for State Fair Community College. She keeps me in line. So she does a great job of doing that. I think she does a great job of doing that, right? Yeah. So I'm going to ask Mike and Cindy to talk to what they do behind the scenes. A lot of IT happens behind the scenes, things you don't really think about or know what's going on. So and Mike's team is invaluable to what we do. Mike?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. Well, thank you guys for letting me speak tonight. Mark asked that I give an overview of the Lucian security team specific to the scope that we provide campuses just like yours. We have 4 basic security teams at Lucian. A risk and compliance team. They deal with vendor security, both us as a vendor and also our own vendors. But they perform for campuses like yours, they perform site security assessments. So they go in and they assess based on the standard, make sure that our employees that are supporting the IT infrastructure from you are doing it at a secure level. We have a security engineering team that provides for sites like yours, security scanning, that's vulnerability scanning against all of your core infrastructure, looking for vulnerabilities and helping patch those, get them remediated as quickly as possible. And then there's my team. I run the security threat and incident management team. The name says it all. We help resolve security incidents when they arise. These are the dreaded breaches or ransomware attacks. That's pretty straightforward, but we also manage security defects in our products. So I understand at State Fair, you actually run an Lucian record management ERP system. So if Mark or his peers at any of our other institutions identify a vulnerability in our product, it doesn't pass go. It comes straight to my team, and we're able to fast track it with our product development folks to speed up the resolution of that. So he kind of has a backdoor to our own product security with my team as well. And then lastly, we have the application security team, and their sole focus is to before our product walks out the door to the public is to make sure that it's security checked, smoke checked, validated security, everything about it is secure before it leaves. I understand that the institution is looking at CrowdStrike as well. Personally, we run CrowdStrike at Ellucian, and we run it in our cloud space. So I'm very pleased. I'm very impressed with CrowdStrike as a company. It works great with our software, all of our software, and as a corporate consumer of it, I think it's the best. So anyway, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mike. Cindy, you got anything?
Just like to add that, you know, part of what Ellucian brings when we become a partner with you is the things like Mike's team and the groups that the security has to really, it's a value add, right? Plus, you've also got the 60 or 70 EMS sites around the country who are also tracking security vulnerabilities. And we communicate those quickly across all of our sites so that like Mark's team can be prepared when something comes across and figure out what it is that, whether or not it affects State Fair, and if so, to look at the remediation quickly to help protect you. So it's just kind of a holistic approach. You know, Mark jokes that I keep him in line, but I always say my role is really more of a support role. It's to make sure that he has what he needs and the whole team does to be successful at State Fair. And that includes working with people like Mark and with Mike and others in the greater Ellucian, you know, world.
Thank you very much. You have any questions? So one of the things that you're going to see in the later on in the packet, Mike mentioned CrowdStrike, and I know I put a proposal in your packet. We won't repeat that. It's pretty long and geeky. But a little bit later, we'll try to put a little bit of an English spin on it to tell you a little more about what it is that we would like you to approve. But again, it is the evolution of the security here at State Fair that is so important to stay in front of this. And I cannot guarantee you that I won't be up here in 9 months asking some more, okay? Because the bad actors are always being bad, and they're being worse, and they're being all those types of things. And we need to try our best, our due diligence, to reduce that risk. So anyways, I'll see you in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Mark. And that concludes our institutional reports.
All right. So we're ready for number 7 on the agenda, the warrant Keith Akins for July 2022.
First of all, I know Cody's not here. I grew up south in Houston, Texas. All that is further south anywhere in that state of Mississippi. Yeah, you say a little Buenos Dias too. Anyway, so on to the business at hand, the resolution, the warrant. So for the first month of our new fiscal year, July 2022. The college had total disbursements of $3,679,515. Of that, $2,778,000 was in accounts payable. Owed construction note payment was $307,999 to Prost, and hopefully we'll have a month or two of those, and that will go away. We have that payroll winding that up. Payroll was $939,742. Payroll income tax on that of $196,299. Financial aid for the summer of $79,632, utilities $64,962, commerce bank credit card processing fees of $35.97, and service charge making things. These are outlays.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept this report.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we did have our ad valorem property tax public hearing, thank you. And so Keith, again,
So it is recommend to the Board of Trustees to set the applicable property tax rate for this coming year. A permissible amount of 0.3972 per $100 assessed valuation. And then direct myself to notify each county clerks of this rate.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Keith, stay where you are.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna bring Mark right back up here, because now he's gonna talk English, as he says, so we'll see if we can. But I'm gonna tell you why we are looking at some additional security and what it's meant to do, and then I'll officially ask for the approval of it.
Yeah, so if in this, I'm not speaking clear English, translating in the mind from nerd to English can be a little tough sometimes, so just bear with me. So again, this is for our server farm. What I'm specifically asking, we have other security things in place like the Okta Verify, password protection, those types of things. We have those in place. This is for our server farm. It's how right here in the data center in our space down there. So what this does, and I was speaking with Joel, our technical director here, about trying to present something in English. And so this is his interpretation, so I'm going to try to get it right because he did a good job. So what we have on our current server farm is just an antivirus system. Okay, it was good for the time. If you're thinking about a surveillance system and you've got a camera that's just watching a single door, there's a person there that's got a little buzzer on the door, and he's only letting in the people that are not on the list. If there's somebody in the list that doesn't, those people do not get in. That's what we currently have in place. What we were going to is a system that has multiple cameras over multiple locations and multiple hallways, that is actually looking for personalities, is looking for differences, things that aren't right, and making those decisions and stopping it. That's the way we're evolving our security system. So that's what this new system called CrowdStrike does. It also comes with 24/7, 365 monitoring. So was that English? Did I do?
So explain what the monitoring means, what to say by.
So the monitoring means that if they see anything that is not right in that person, personality traits, we get alerted, it's stopped. And we get alerted of the incident as well. And we can check it out, or they will help, and they will help us check it out, to be honest with you, and they will do a deep dive. And triage that situation. So the whole goal is to stop it before it happens. So
That's what's going to try and enter our system because it will.
right.
Has this been used in other settings? So you kind of have that data too.
Yeah, so a good part of what, and Mike touched on it, a good part of what we do, what's out there, CrowdStrike is a major player in the security industry. And it's at a lot of institutions, a lot of our peer institutions. And there's some other major players, like I've got listed that we went out and got some bids from SentinelOne, Microsoft, and some other major players. But CrowdStrike is a really good system.
Some of the board, maybe Patty, attended a workshop at MCCA Administrative Leadership Conference. And Crowder College, who was a victim of ransomware, talked about their incident, their solutions, and they use CrowdStrike to not only respond as part of their repair efforts, but then they've contracted them. They were highly recommending that service. And I think there are other clients in Missouri that have adopted the same product.
So Crowder was reactive. They weren't being proactive like what we're trying to do.
Right.
Do you have any idea dollar wise how much their reaction cost because they weren't involved doing proactive? I've heard it can be.
It was, well, they were down in enrollment time as well.
Yeah.
So, you know,
there's some institutions out there, like I just read a article last week in EDUCAUSE. One incident cost the university $1.4 million, and that wasn't including the ransom. So that
was just the
time and energy and being down, and yeah. So
I think Joel, with Crowder, they were down for months because they were one of the first institution, higher ed institutions in Missouri hit. All of us have been talking amongst our schools, and so the last couple have been less time down because we've all learned from each other, but it's still weeks and towards the month side, potentially depending upon how much preparation you did beforehand.
So it'd be quite a large chunk of money. It's what
It would be
it's time and
6
money.
figures, yeah.
Yes. So in turn, it's to be proactive, it's a heck of a lot better than being reactive.
Yeah, I'd rather bring you proposals for 6 figures that actually help the institution.
This is.
Understand it. Getting all my credit card company that there's a charge for a mink coat purchased in Europe. And they say that that really doesn't sound right. Is that sort of similar?
It's similar, absolutely. It's not what you usually do.
Right.
So,
Is there anything CrowdStrike doesn't give us that, like a Microsoft Big 5 does or Signal One? Is it, I mean, are we comparing the same? Are we getting the same type of?
in this,
Yeah, we're comparing the same product level and the same capabilities.
Yeah.
And then another benefit we get is because Mike's team uses it, we get to use that knowledge, and all of our other schools are using it, so we get to share that knowledge. So that's a bonus to just even comparing apples to apples.
So the extra 30 that the Microsoft code is probably because it's got Microsoft in the name, is that, I mean, we're not getting anything additional, right? Like, we're not sacrificing anything by just trying to save with the tinker.
that's right. So in this case now, both,
Because 30,000 now versus
right, so both
1.5 million later.
both Microsoft, I can't remember what Sentinel One was, for what I'm gonna say, but both CrowdStrike and, Microsoft actually offer a complete environment, a holistic environment if you want to do so on your campus. And we're talking well over 6 figures.
Right.
So,
But the products you're looking at here is actually are essentially equivalent.
yeah.
So the good part is it's not 6 figures. In fact, it's a fairly reasonable amount in the scheme of things. So it is recommended that the Board of Trustees accept the bid for a CrowdStrike server farm cybersecurity solution in the amount of $25,683.50. And that's for 3 years, for a 3-year term for CDWG. It's further recommended that you direct myself and our president to sign those acts as necessary to carry that out. And in terms of the money for that, we already allocated in the budget $9,069 for cybersecurity. We'll take another 16 up the balance of that 16,150 out of our contingency funds, and that will get us the full.
I'll entertain a motion to accept this proposal. Do I hear a second? Is there any more questions or comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Close same sign. Okay. Yeah. Now you.
It was a good discussion. Good presentation.
Thank you for being proactive too. Certainly, I mean, see it all the time.
Next item, we continue with some of the Fab Lab, outfitting the Fab Lab that Ann Segler's talked to you about. So this one here is a Lincoln virtual welding system we put out to bid. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees accept the bid for one Lincoln VRTech transport. It's a virtual reality welding simulator in the amount of $46,959.53 from Airgas in Sedalia. And this will be used with the Fab Lab, and the funding is provided by the UNICEF grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sorry.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say no. All right.
Number 11 is continuing to outfit the TOEIC Center, and particularly in our robotics side. In this case, it's recommended that Board of Trustees set the bid for the one University robots. UR10E collaborative robot, or cobot, that we've talked about in previous board meetings, and then company accessories and educational program. This will be for our precision machining program. Cost of this is $120,000. from HTE Automation. You can see that spell check wanted to put D in capitals instead of the letters HTE. HTE Automation, St. Louis, Missouri. This will go along with our NC3 certification that we have, and funding for this provided by the MOIC Sales 2 grant that we have for building out OIC and part of our Excellence Advanced Manufacturing Automation. Motion approved.
I'll second.
Any more questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Opposed, same sign. Mark,
Okay.
feasibility
We're going to change gears a minute here. So one of the items on our list of things to get done that we feel will help the attractiveness, we speak of enrollment and help the attractiveness of enrollment for Sacred Community College and differentiate us from other community colleges in particular, is the addition of additional housing on campus. We currently have over 200 students across the street, so we know there's a demand for that. We know it's not ideal to have it there, but to have it on campus and do it our way. So that is, as Dr. Banks mentioned a little earlier, is that we are going to have to be sure that we can show the creditors out there, if we go to market for boundaries, that we can support this through this. So is our I recommended we do a feasibility study. So we put a feasibility study out to bid. We got 2 responses back. One from a very, very experienced one's done more of these studies than anybody, and one from a firm that I think we might have been the first or second client. And prices were a little bit higher than we wanted. So there were a lot of things they were doing, things we've already done. We've already designed the facility. We know what we have some knowledge of what's going on across the street. We took the scope of it down and truly looking at the feasibility of actually having that many, be able to rent that many rooms and what the market is there versus helping us design the facility itself. Which is what they sort of wanted to do. That's what students wanted. So they come back to us, saw the bids. One bid came in at $33,000. That was Scion, which is the experience firm. Another came in at $33,400, which was the new guys, Hart O'Brien. So with that, we looked at it, we discussed this with our financial advisors, and we are recommending you set the bid for market feasibility study for on-campus housing for $33,000 from the Scion Group of Chicago. Further recommended that the President, Vice President, Finance and Administration authorize to sign the agreement with Scion. Scion is a highly respected player, consultant in this field. They work with many community colleges. They've done these studies a lot in the past, and think the validity and the reputation they have will help us with feasibility study. So funding for this will be from one-time state appropriations budget. In a bit, I'm going to go over kind of where we are with that, but we thought we'd use those one-time monies from this year to fund this as a very good use of this fund. So thanks for your approval to move forward with sign on.
Entertain a motion.
So move.
Do your second.
Second.
Any more comments or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign.
I think we sort of agreed the feasibility study going forward be required if an element of getting financing down the road. So if we wish to do it, and out there, being out at the state fair, I had out of service area people come by who knew of programs that we offered that weren't offered where they were, or that the enrollment was so limited that they didn't think they could get in. And so there's probably some possibilities to reach out based upon some of the program quality, the uniqueness of programs that we have.
Okay, we're ready about the food service, kitchen and dining renovations. Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
I motion that. I'm sorry.
One of these two.
We have my next guest speaker, Justin, and talk to you about the mobile art food service kitchen remodeling innovations. We talked about a couple of meetings. Let me tell you where we're going, then I'll talk about how we go about doing some planning.
So we went back to the contractor that had submitted our bid when we put it back out there. We talked at length with them about phasing the project so that we could avoid doing the temporary kitchen that we had come and talked to you guys about just a couple months ago. So what our proposal right now is with the current bidder and our architectural firm is to jump into the old campus store building and complete the phase 1 of the project, which would be finishing out that side that is currently vacant. That'll be the actual serving area. We've got some food systems and some grill kitchen, pizza area, that sort of thing. We will finish out all of that area starting as soon as you guys approve us and give us the green light. We can move forward with that and get that site done while we're still operating this year, right? We would give them until approximately May, the end of the spring semester to complete that, but we know they would be done substantially before that. Based on our project manager's timeline, we would be done probably in February. All the equipment would be here and in place. You guys have already approved the equipment order, so that equipment is on order, so we shouldn't have any delays in getting any of those products, which can have some long lead times as well. Then phase 2 would then start immediately on, I believe it's May 23rd, is the Monday after graduation. So the kitchen is shut down. We'll start moving all the old equipment out immediately. Simultaneously, the contractor will be coming in because he then has to get completed by, I believe it's August 10th. That's what we wrote into his contract. So he has that short amount of time to finish out what is currently the kitchen into the back of the house kitchen and the new dish room so that we can actually serve on real china, real plates, and get rid of the styrofoam because we'll be able to circulate 38 stuff. So the increase that we're asking for, which was the increase above their bid, is because by phasing it, they're pushing the project out substantially from what we had originally proposed, which would be done by December. So that was what we had gone back and forth and negotiating with them. And the increase that we're asking for is roughly $5,400. It's all they are coming back to us for the increase to extend that out into May. The prevailing wage is already there, and it's already, the wage documents, and the wage orders are already in. And so that there's no increase there really. It's just a potential increase in prices. And what we've also asked them to do is to get as much of the equipment and parts and pieces here during phase 1, and we will work together to store it, whether it's in the current facility there, if it's in a Connex out back, or it's in some warehouse space that we have here on campus, or in the vendor's warehouse. And so we have steps in place to allow that to happen, which is what's going to equate from only a $5,000. Just lower $5,000 increase over the original bid. So we have that contract. The first draft has been sent. It's in our attorney's hands right now. I talked to them yesterday a little bit, and Lisa is reviewing it as well today. And then we'll have that back from her. We can send it to the contractor if they want to make any. And so we should be able to get in place if you guys approve us to as quick as the attorneys all get done with the contract.
So no temporary kitchen?
No temporary kitchen. So
And that was an estimated cost of what?
we had asked for $100,000 for that. So that
$5,000 versus $100,000. Good job, Justin.
And we'll still end up with the same product. So didn't have to sacrifice it.
So the collection and storing of, that's because it's a one-time.
The collection and storing is in order to reduce any increase in the cost of materials.
When you're locked in, but that all falls underneath the one-time.
Yeah, so it's all one project, so that one price is all locked in, so that's why we're asking them to go ahead and there's a process in our contracts always to pay for materials, once they get on site, they can bill us for them. They can also bill you for materials that are warehouse elsewhere, but there's some steps that you have to do. In the 20 years I've been building buildings, I've rarely had to pay somebody for storing materials outside of the project. Owen Howard was the first one that we've had to do that. But we went through all the steps. That's why it's built in the contract. There's pictures, there's rights of entries, there's insurance regulations, all that kind of things. And I can go inspect it anytime we want to make sure that our asset that we purchased is protected. So those are all built into the contract.
Yeah, I'm not knowing near as much, obviously, than as you do. I didn't know if the one-time state allocation, those words meant that you get one shot at this.
No, I'll talk to you about- He's gonna talk to you about the funding source. Yeah. Any other questions?
So goal to be completed is start of next year, basically.
Yeah, so August 10th of 2023, it would be operational. That would be the last day that they would have it. But the majority, like I said, would be done before that. And really some usable space. So if we get into any kind of hiccup or anything, we've got the majority, we've got this, the front is ready to go, right? Because that has to be done by May. We'll be able to start placing equipment in there. Mike will be able to start training some staff in there. It won't be fully operational, but we'll have some capability there.
So no matter when phase one is done, phase two will not start till after commission.
Correct, because we've got a, that's the kitchen they're using right now. Yeah. But that's still being that temporary kitchen.
Before I go fully into much of you talking about the funding of this. Obviously, it's, 1.38 million, so we gotta know how we're gonna pay for it. First way we'll pay for it, several places. With the supplemental support under the American Rescue Plan that we spoke of last month, those funds can be used for the expansion of currently living and or dining spaces. So feel like that was one actually with our hands. I thought we felt that would be a good use of those funds to do exactly that. So that's 475,067 we can get from those funds. Other ones we can use, we thought, so when we budgeted this year, the state gave us an allocation of recurring funds. We also got a one-time allocation to us for this year only. That's not recurring. That allocation was $655,612. So what I'm doing is I'm tracking how we're using that, finding places to use that one time on one-time monies. So for instance, I think in May, you approved 149,500 from that balance to use for the CDA simulator. Actually, the 100,000 we were talking about from mobile kitchen was going to come from that. Well, that's gone now. So I've used 149,500 for the CDA simulator. We just approved 33,000 for Scion for it. In this case, I'm asking you to put another 300,000 from that for this. That would leave approximately 175,000 left of that. So we're using it up, but we're using, I think, things only happen one time for the right reason. So understand that I'm taking that down, so I'm gonna run out of room pretty soon. But that's what that one-time allocation means. It's part of the state money that we get this year and may not recur next year. We hope it does, but it may not. The other one, then the rest of it's gonna come from college reserves. I'm looking at other ways to replenish the college reserves as for that amount as we go forward. And as we get into that, I can talk more about that probably in the next month or so. But we do have other funding out there, other grants and things, and I think we can replenish those reserves. But we would be at this point 604 from college reserves. So that is how we would pay for this, not take any loans or incur any debt for that. With that. So what I'm going to ask for you today is Westport Construction was the only bidder twice. We put this out to bid twice. They responded twice. They were going to have it finished by the end of December. We've asked them to wait till the next summer and phase it in. They've only gone up $5,400 for that. So we're requesting that you accept the bid for the range expansion of the food service, kitchen and dining, and Parkhurst Commons stuff for $1,379,800 from Westport Construction Company in Clinton, Missouri. But recommended that myself or Dr. Bates be authorized to and directed to sign the agreement with Westport Construction and perform anything necessary to carry out that agreement. We talked about the funding sources, so I'm asking for your approval to move forward with this.
Motion to approve.
Your second.
Second.
Any more questions for Keith? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And next we have Board of Trustees Executive Assistant resignation. Dr. Bates.
Joanne Turley is our current executive assistant for the board, but she's accepted a promotion into a position of the legislative community liaison. And so she is. We ask that you accept that position, recognizing her.
Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Pose same sign.
Thank you, Joey.
Joanne, yeah, we'd say thank you. You are amazing and we're glad you're still here and we know you'll be in a good position in the new position. So thank you for all that you've done for our board and so. Okay, so now we're looking at an appointment then of the new board of trustee for executive assistant. So I would accept a nomination for that position.
Appoint Lisa Osterley.
All right, so we have a motion to have Lisa Osterley as our new board of trustee executive assistant. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The same sign. Thank you, Lisa. We look forward to that. Okay, so Dr. Bates.
Well, we had a lengthy institutional report, so I'll try to keep my president's report brief. I will speak briefly about the start of classes this week, Monday. So things have started. It's wonderful to see students on campus, and I always feel hope for the future when I see the campus full with people taking this transformational step for many of them. So we had faculty and staff and administration and some members of the board and some members in the community on campus greeting our students, helping them get to the right class. I would say it's a wonderful vibe on campus, a wonderful feeling. And also, of course, shouldn't forget Jerry Greer, Board of Trustees Emeritus, who I asked him how long he's been doing this. And he said, well, since the college started. So again, he was out on his normal perch. But it was a great startup. There were, knock on wood, relatively few problems. And so we're off on a roll. We have presented some proposed dates for upcoming meetings. That handout is with your materials. Who's I think put it at the bottom. And so we traditionally have a budget or planning retreat. It often is a day-long retreat in the summer. We have not got that in yet, obviously. We are going to skinny that down. We're looking at a hour and a half retreat where we're focused on some key points. We're going to supplement that with some institutional reports then during our regular meeting for the other materials that we covered in that day and a half. So that's the strategy. We've looked at some calendars and listened to some input last time from you, and we're proposing Thursday, September 22nd at 4 o'clock prior to the board meeting in September. An alternate date would be September 8th, but quite frankly, that would really squeeze us for being fully prepared for that presentation, but we can make it. We can make it happen. The team is committed to being ready for that. So do you want any conflicts there, or is that Thursday, September 22nd, okay?
That'd be great for me.
Okay, so 4 o'clock on the 22nd of September. That planning budget meeting, okay?
And then in October, I will be out of town with a couple of board members at the ACCP conference at a regularly scheduled time. So we're proposing an alternative date for the October board meeting of Tuesday, October 25th at 5:30.
How does that work for everybody? Any conflict? That's just moving it 2 days earlier, same time.
We're not leaving until Wednesday. I had it on Tuesday, sorry.
They're not taking you now.
That's fine.
So we okay? Good on that change? All right.
Then we were planning on having, as part of that October board meeting, Kate Nash do a board training session and policy development session with the board. And so if, since we moved that meeting to the 25th, we're suggesting that that be a work session at 4 p.m. prior to the that regular board meeting. And that should be okay. And then at Patty's insistence, we've scheduled an investiture ceremony. That is a fancy word for announcing the new president. And so we're proposing a date of Sunday, October 23rd for that event. And there's a small group that's has been put together to plan that event. So anybody have any conflicts with Sunday afternoon? So those are the dates for the board meeting and the board retreat, and that's my report.
Okay, all right, so get those on your calendar. All right, so Keith, let's have our financial report.
Well, it's 1 month, so 1 month, first couple months are always difficult to tell what's going on, particularly in the expenses side, so don't get too, I don't think too much look at expenses because all when things get paid, we pay a lot of things at the beginning of the year. Our total insurance gets paid. We pay the entire, bill for across the street. We renew a lot of our software at the very beginning of the year, and sometimes that's July, sometimes it's August. So the first month or two is very heavy in expenses. What you can see though on the revenue side, you can see our tuition and fees. You see that's a little bit behind where we were last year. We've raised tuition a little, but that goes with the, of course, the decline in enrollment. So we're kind of trying to keep even there. So that's, given the situation, that's what I would expect to see. You'll also see though the increase in state appropriations over the last couple of years. I might take note of that because those are real dollars. And hopefully we can keep those going in future years as well. So that's the thing note. I don't know if you're looking at your packet, we always do these charts here, and I'm actually going to use one of them today. And that is F2. What F2 is, I kind of want you to, because this helps you understand things. That's our budgeted, where we expect to spend our operating budget and where it comes from. And it's good. And so what you can see here on the very top one, which is our revenue source, you'll see tuition and fees, we're projected to be about 53% of our operating budget. So when people talk about where we get money from, over half of our operating money comes from tuition and fees, about 53%. The next highest is state appropriations at about 25%. That's going up over the last couple of years because they've actually started funding us a little better. And there's a long way to go to get back to where we were about 15 years ago, but they are funding. You'll see property taxes are about 14%. So those three together add up the bulk of it, but that just gives you an idea of where it is. Tuition and fees at 50%, state appropriation about half that at 25, and then almost half of that again at property taxes at 14, still a little over 12.5, but it kind of goes down half of each thing. Well, in terms of where the money goes and how we spend it, if you look between instruction and academic support and student services, that's 42 and 13. It's our 40 and 14 is 56, and 6 is about over 60% of our money is going directly towards instruction and student services. So where it needs to go. We have about 10% on maintenance plant and about 20% on just the supporting institutions. So just so you kind of keep in your head, we don't talk about a lot. We talk about some of where kind of on a big picture, where our money comes from and where it goes to. And so while we're still in the beginning stages of the year and there's not much report on really this side of it, I thought it might be good just to remind everybody of where it comes from and where it goes.
We used to think of that as the sources as a three-legged stool, but one of those legs is significantly longer than the other two. It's getting balanced out a little bit.
Thank you, Keith. All right, so time for board discussion or items that we need to talk about. I know think Dr. Bates wanted to share.
Just for the September board meeting, we hope to have a report from one of the extended campuses. I think Richard suggested that, and we're working with some campus directors to plan that. We also need to have a discussion about an estate gift that was given to the Board of Trustees through our foundation, so we'll have a discussion about that. And still on our list is a tour of facilities. We've just kind of approved 2 work sessions already for September and October, so that kind of crosses them off. So we may be touring in the snow in November. Coming up, we will have bids for the phase 3 of fielding and for the CAP building, but probably not in September. Those probably, I don't think they'll be ready for September, but probably October or November for those projects. So just some upcoming Board of Trustees agenda items.
All right. I was not able to, because of the Beef House commitment, I wasn't able to be at the State Fair booth at the Missouri State Fair, but I hear that some of you did, and so.
Dr. Bates was, and I was, and several people. Jolene was there when I was there. It was say that we spoke to a lot of alumni. Were walking through the building and came by to share their stories of being at State Fair. So that was nice to hear and to be a point of contact with alumni. We talked to prospective students, some students who are already enrolled, some who are attending right now, some I talked to one student who is beginning CPC, began Monday. And so a broad range of students, people who are interested, you mentioned earlier, had folks from outside our primary service area even, who were aware of programs that we were offered and interested. Had someone who we were able to suggest they, while I was there, that they consider fast track and look into that to meet some career objectives that person had. So I'm sure my experience was typical of for folks who were in the booth. And so I think there was probably a lot of good contacts made there.
Thanks to all who did that, and I think that's an awesome idea to be able to have.
And there was a support from all phases of the campus. I worked with the administrative people, faculty, all phases of the institution were present.
Thanks to all who did that. That's awesome. All right, what other things do you have?
What I have is I want to extend an appreciation for myself. And I think everyone on the board speaks uniformly, the amount of time that you spent with us individually and as a group, letting us know what's going on. So we're not just sitting on a Thursday once a month. So I really appreciate that. You went out of your way and it's well respected.
I also think we need to begin strategizing and working with our legislative contacts. Probably monitoring that, but we need to start doing visits and letters. Everybody who's elected needs to get a congratulatory note from one of us, and building relationships, and that you can never stop. We can never stop building relationships. And I think that's one of the things that as trustees that we're in a position to do is to folks who are elected like to talk to other folks who are elected.
Maybe I should have you come and sit at the Beef House because everybody flips burgers. I the steak, and so I saw on that day so many. So sometimes like, should I put on my Stick Bear shirt or my Beef House shirt. But did have an opportunity. I thought, all of the legislators are getting their picture taken. So Dr. Bates's son was one of my employees. And I said, call your dad and tell him he needs to come in here. We need a photo op. Just like, so he came in and flipped a steak.
It's
So.
hard to get help. She needed somebody. Some ribeyes.
Photo op, but absolutely, those relationships.
So
They're calling back in for a session, and then they'll be followed up by a veto session if needed. And so that'll be a time where they'll be at the state, so it'll be an opportunity for us to make it really happen.
And Joel, when you sort of get a strategy and some ideas put together, be sure and, contact so we can carry out what we need to do.
we can put that on an agenda for next meeting or something and can have a plan.
Anybody else?
Thank you to Mary and her Team X Foundation annual meeting today. Really good to see her board. We have a very well invested foundation board, and thank you for the invite for that today too, Mary.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary, and your team.
Mary will be reporting out to the board at the next board meeting as well. So many of you were there, but she has, a report with song and dance.
It was actually pretty good.
And we do love those institutional reports. I think it helps us to see, and be knowledgeable about what's happening on campus. So thank you. Anything else? All right, it looks like we are ready for a request for closed session. Looks like we will be going in for lease purchase or sale of real estate pursuant to RSMO section 610.0212 and hiring, firing, disciplining, and promotion of personnel pursuant to RSMO section 610.0213. I'd like to ask, let's see, we'll leave Dr. Bates, Lisa, and Keith to stay with us for that.
Motion.
Second. On the roll call.
Amy Bashir. Yes. Tim Carr.
Yes.
Justin Hutz.
Yes.
Tom Oldham.
Yes.
Richard Parker.
Yes.
Patricia Wood.
Yes. Thank you guys for staying. If you didn't get your feet in, you better be sure to come up here and just. Thank you.
Nothing's gonna be.
Okay.